Hi there, I'm Brian Brennan. I'm with Modern Rodding Magazine, and we're here at the 75th Annual Grand National Roadster Show. Now, we're in Building 6, and this is where all of the Slonaker judging occurs. And I'm with Andy Leach, and he's going to tell us about his latest project, which is this 33 Pontiac that's right here in front of us. And if you can use the word spectacular with a car, this is spectacular. Andy, why don't you tell us a little something about your company, and then we'll jump right into the car.
Well, first of all, thank you. And yeah, this is Bill and Angela Barbado's 33 Pontiac we built. Okay. My company is Cal Automotive Creations in Bennington, Nebraska. Yeah. Bill approached us about 7-8 years ago on doing a 33 Pontiac. At first, when he said 33 Pontiac, I said, Bill, 33 Pontiac, what are you talking about, man?
Right.
So he said, no, I love it. And Bill's into like trains, and he just loved the shovel nose of the Pontiac. Which if you look at a factory one, they're atrocious. There's no other words to say it. But he was in love with it, so I said, yeah, no problem. So sheet metal wise, we really reworked the front end. The grill shell was shortened. We made a new one actually when it was shortened, then made new grill obviously, and then the whole front apron was lifted up and pushed back in. You know, Ford did it right, and everybody wants to copy a Ford, but you got to be very careful when you do that with these kind of oddball cars. You can really get off camber.
It looks
really
like
quick.
you might have canted in the headlights a bit, or did something, or are they in their stock location?
Since the front end is so big and the fenders are so big, I felt it needed a larger headlight.
Okay.
So those are actually 34 Oldsmobile headlight buckets.
Okay.
And then we just made the stands or pedestals, whatever you want to call them, and machined the rings out of stainless and used the factory 34 Olds glass lenses. Okay. But yeah, there's a lot of work in that front end. Car was also wedge section, so that actually took more out of the nose as well. So another inch came out of the front.
What did you do to the fenders then?
The fenders, we actually didn't do a whole lot. Okay. Just kind of worked on the fit and the way they flowed into the apron. Because I like the bulbous style of it, and the little fingers or ribs on the bottom, those are factory, and it's like, honestly,
cool.
That was the coolest thing on the car.
Now, I know you took the hood ornament out, and as I look at that cleans everything up. Now, I know the hood is completely modified, but I really like what you did with the side venting, as opposed to what it was stock. So tell us about the hood and what went on there.
So the hood is the stock length as a 33 Pontiac, but obviously we made a new hood and hood sides from scratch. And with the wedge section of the body, we started looking at the side of the car, and you know, a stock one has horizontal vents, and we just felt with the way we cut up the rear, and we'll get to all that, the car started looking a little like kind of short, or you know, not as tall, so we felt we needed some vertical vents in the side of it. So Eric Black did a lot of the design work on this car, and as we studied it, he presented this kind of, I'll call them a scallop, that kind of is a continuation of the fingers and the fenders. That just, you know, good design is repetition, so you just carry that all the way through. When we did all that, we got into the firewall. The firewall is actually a machined piece out of it started as 1-inch thick aluminum, and then we machined it. And if you look at all the details in it, there's 3 different colors and then a polished rib there. Right. And what we did with the machine work is, where the pinstripe is, we actually machined a groove in it. So there's a groove where all the pinstripes were at on the car. Okay. Just a little detail that, you know, it's, we love details. We love to get the people to start looking at the car, and then it draws them right in.
Now, I see something poking out of the hood. What do we have? What do we have between the hood sides there?
So Bill sent us the motor with the car. It's a 400 Pontiac with an 871 blower. Inside the dragster scoop, which is all machined, is 4 little throttle bodies that we made all the EFI and stuff. It's all packaged and tucked in there really tight. You can see one fuel line coming out the back, but it's very simple, very clean. If you can get some shots inside, we made all the fan shroud and everything. We wanted to take this kind of hot rod racing feel to the car and have a bit of kind of textured magnesium all over the car, if you will, to kind of pull the wheels and the supercharger and the fan shroud and even the hood vents. That color is all throughout the car and on the bottom.
You mentioned the textured coating on the blower and then the wheels. So let's look at the wheels. To me, they remind me of the traditional 5-spoke wheel. So tell us about the wheel and tire and brake combination and what the front suspension's like.
So as we studied this car, I'm a 5-spoke guy. And you can never go wrong. You can never go wrong with a 5-spoke guy. And magnesium 5-spokes are the holy grail. So we felt, let's be a little different and run dirty magnesium wheels on this. Even though these are all machined, we machined them all out of billet and put our little touches inside of them. But it's actually all paint. We shot a layer down with texture on them. after they're machined, and then came up with this wild little magnesium color that has gold flake.
I was going to say, it looks like there's metallic in it or something like that. Yeah.
I felt it was right with the color of the car, just to keep that little gold fleck popping all over the car.
Yeah. What about the brake kit that's hiding it through the windows?
So the brake, it started life as a Willwood setup. Maxwell Industries, Steve is reproducing those lobster claw or lobster, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
This is the first set that's out.
They're reminiscent of the old Earhart brake.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, and I know what you're talking about, and that's going to be something.
So yeah, that was Steve was kind enough to let us have the first set, front and rear, to do that, and the front suspension started life as Heights front end years ago. We built all the rails and all the cross members. You start with that cross member. Basically, you're just getting all the pickup points of the control arms and coilovers. And then we built this swoopy little cross member and whatnot, and then came back and scanned all the arms, and then modeled the arms in SolidWorks and machined all the arms out of. Actually, those are steel arms. I know it sounds crazy, but we'd rather. You've heard the horror stories of machining arms out of aluminum and something happening, and it's like let's go overkill and make steel arms. So. But yeah, all the suspension, everything has this kind of magnesium cast with these fins in it. Kind of the fins carry throughout the car.
Yeah. Well, let's go down here to the side, and we want to take a look at the interior. So I want you to tell us what you've got going on. First off, did you do anything to the door?
So I'll back up just a hair bit.
Yeah.
When we got the body, it was a complete disaster. It should have just been thrown in a dumpster. So we took the body that Bill gave us and cut it all up, got the proportions we wanted, and then came back and made new quarters from scratch. New doors are 100% from scratch. Basically, there's just a roof rail left of the original and that quarter window. That's all that's left of the original car. Otherwise, 95% of it we all made from scratch, just because you cut something up and it's easier just to make new panels. So that's what we did.
I noticed you didn't use much chrome trim on the outside of the car. You've really kept it down to a minor roar, and it looks good. I mean, it's nice accenting where you've done that.
Yeah, less is more.
Yeah.
And we just want little pieces just to pop here and there. Okay. So
now, when we look inside, just tell me a little something right away about how close to stock was the interior or the dashboard or just the general presentation.
So we studied the interior a lot, and we didn't want to veer too far away from this whole hot rod feel and just the 33 Pontiac. You see a lot of these guys putting spaceship interiors in these things, and it's like you just lose the soul of the car. So there is the top rail of the dash is actually the original rail, just a little piece above the shiny there. But then everything else in that dash was machined. And you'll have to get footage of the machine piece, the dark there. That's actually black wood grained. And you get in there and it's just, it looks like it belongs in like a Duesenberg or something. Right. But all that stuff is machined. Gauges, we worked with Dakota Digital. They gave us their base gauge basically. And then there's actually 6 machined layers that stack on top of their face, and they're crazy. One of the machined layers is like, and I'm not making this up, it's like 20 thou thick. And Thomas at Leading Edge machined it, and it's like, how did you hang on to that, dude? So it's just this little elegant stuff. Troy was kind enough to let us get one of his first steering columns, so we have that in there. We machined the steering wheel. Again, Eric Black designed it all, keeping the diamond feel. We thought it was correct for the era of the car. If you look up into the headliner, we did a subtle machined, we call it like a crown molding thing, and then it's just lit underneath it. So
there's a light, indirect lighting. Yeah, that's actually kind of cool.
It's really cool. So
now I noticed the trim around the windows and whatnot. Was that like a factory, or did you redo?
So we just cut up the stock garnish moldings and made them fit, and then had them nickel plated. And then you can see like the door panels and everything. Everything was machined, and we just have this thin line of polish just for a little pop.
Yeah.
I'm a guy that likes to break up the interiors, because if they're all leather, they just look like a giant couch. So.
Okay. Now tell me about the shifter, and then tell me about the transmission that's backed up to the Pontiac.
So yeah, the shifter started life as a low-car, just off-the-shelf shifter, and then we made a new arm and a new shift ball and stuff like that, and a bezel. So pretty straightforward there, but they got a great product, so you got to use what works. Hooked to that is a Bowler 4L80 transmission. Good. So Mark's, you send him something, it's going to work. So we use Mark every time.
Mark's a hoot to work with too. I mean, he's always fun to talk to, and the guy is like you. He's running 100 miles an hour all the time, and so catching him is half the challenge. So, but it did good company, great product. So it was good. Right. Tell me a little bit something. What am I looking at upholsterized, especially for the carpeting, and then the transmission tunnel cover? What's going on there?
Sure. So Cato out of Salt Lake City, Dakota Custom Upholstery did all the sewing and covering and the interior work for us. The carpet started as just a square weave carpet, and we dyed it to get the correct color. Again, we carried the diamond theme throughout the transmission, and we built I believe it started as a glide seat, and we cut it all up and made it fit the car, and then Kato did all the foam work to make it fit. Then we came back and we modeled seat trim on the bottom, just this elegant little feel. And again, the magnesium cast finish and all that stuff too. So a lot of little details in that interior. The more you look at it, the more you find stuff.
Now the rear bench seat is what? You just fabricated that?
Yeah, it's just like the front. We fabbed the rear as a steel setup, and then it's got padding and everything in it. So it's a real seat. Obviously, the way the car sits, it's an adult might not be able to fit back there, but depends how bad they want to ride in the car.
It's a hot ride.
Yeah.
We're back here, and I'm staring at the rear wheels. But just tell me a little bit about the rear wheel and the fender, and then also something that's stamped there, or not stamped, but cut into that wheel.
Sure,
What's that?
Like we both discussed earlier, we're both 5-spoke guys. So this is a wheel based off of American Racing's N-Code 5-spoke. The really rare magazine is the racing version that had the added gussets. So Eric Black and I studied that wheel way too much, and we felt this was right for this car, and we made subtle little tweaks to it, but then we put my company cowl logo in it, just a little personal touch. So, but we always wanted this monster Hoosier slick in the back, or Hoosier tire in the back. So when we were doing all the sheet metal work, we actually took the fender and pushed it up 3 inches into the car. So if you look at the stock car, the gap in between the belt line and the fender, on a stock one, it's literally like 8 inches, and now we're about down to 2. So that the fender was pushed up 3 inches and extended on the bottom. So with the wedge section, that went up, the body went down, and then we came to the back of the car. And honestly, when Bill brought us the car, it was just a disaster. It was somebody cut the back of the car off, and they literally took a piece of sheet metal and went like this with it on their knee, and it looked like a piece of plywood on the back. So we made a new rear bustle for the car, brought it forward, and then actually tipped it forward so it's more like a Vicky.
I see that,
And then when we did that, this area in between the quarter window and the back window, we actually thinned that up. And I don't remember how much, but I could tell you a measurement, but I'm probably off. But it was more, we kept looking at it and just thinned it up as much as we could. So
now, I see a taillight hanging on both fenders. Tell me about the taillights.
So the taillights, just like the headlights, I felt it needed a big, heavy bucket just to balance out the back of the car. And again, those were 34 Oldsmobile taillight buckets. And then one late night, we were struggling with taillight lenses, and I'd stumbled upon these 34 Cadillac glass lenses on eBay. It cost me about what it's going to cost my kids to go to college, but I found a pair. And then obviously the lens is smaller than the bucket, so I kind of pawned it off on Eric Black. I said, dude, you got to make this work. So he came back and made this bezel. There's like 2 or 3 bezels there that screw together and makes the transition that steps to the bigger bucket. But these things lit up, I swear, are the coolest taillight I've ever seen. So
I'm looking at the mirrors on the floor so I can see underneath, and I'm looking at the rear pan. But over here in the corners, does the exhaust come over the tire and then empty out of the body?
So you can start seeing the exhaust way underneath in front of the rear end. It actually goes up and over the rear end and then snakes around the back of the tire right behind the taillight and dumps.
But I like the way you've done that. Let's call it the exhaust port for the rear of the tail light, the way it's up there under the body, and that is finished well. But now you got me looking at this independent suspension. Tell me about that.
So Bill sent the car with a Heights independent rear, and that's what that started, was a Heights independent rear. And again, we remade everything, skinned the housing and made a center section. I don't want to say cover, because cover is not the right word, but just all the pieces mate together, and it looks like this really weird cast center section. Again, we machined all the arms. We wanted this kind of Art Deco, bizarre looking control arm setup. So
now I know you're running an overdrive transmission. So what kind of gearing did you put in the rear end?
Right now we have 373 in it. Another cool feature, if you look at the exhaust, it was a goofy design I came up with. I couldn't sleep one night, so that's when I come up with dumb ideas that are fun to make, but then
seem to work.
But the exhaust is finished all in. It's 3.5-inch exhaust, stainless. Motor is really rowdy, so Bill wanted 3.5-inch exhaust all the way throughout. But came up with an idea to do 3 different finishes and a stainless polished rib on the exhaust. So we machined the stainless rib and then sweated that on all the exhaust, on the stainless exhaust, and then came back and it's got 2 different Cerakote colors, kind of a charcoal color and then a bronzy color. And then in between that's kind of a reddish, maroonish pinstripe in Cerakote.
Yep, I see that.
All the exhaust is done like that, just something goofy. I don't think there's ever been an exhaust taken to that level.
Well, then tell me about the drive shaft, because that looks like it's been massaged quite a bit.
Late one night, I messaged Derek Black and I said, dude, we can't have just a round drive shaft and half shafts in this thing. So he goes, all right, let me take a look at that. So he whipped up these just crazy half shafts and drive shaft, and we machined those. TJ's S and Atomic machined the half shafts and the drive shaft. So they're crazy. It's really, they're a work of art. It's sad that they're way underneath there and you can't see them, but you know, that's something with every ounce of this car is like that, and the detail, and we just like to work all the little pieces, and the more you look at it, the more it draws you in, and then you start noticing other things. And
no, it's a lot. Let's go over here and let's stand back and let's take a look at the $100 bill that's on the ground. Is this your $100 bill down here, down there? Okay, we'll just leave it there for now. Tell me about the color. What's going on there?
So Bill came to us and he said he wanted a gold color about a year ago. And we did about 1 billion spray outs of the gold color, and finally came up with this color that we got a bunch of different names for it, but Randy at Paint House, Texas.
Oh, sure, Randy.
Randy painted the car, and he's amazing. Everybody knows Randy. Thank you, man. Everybody knows Randy, and he comes up with these colors. They're just phenomenal. The color is mostly all pearls. There's very little toners in it.
But it's reminiscent of a candy gold, though, don't you think?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. So it's a Sherwin product, and man, as you can see, you start getting lights on it, and the way it flops on the body lines and stuff, it's just crazy.
Oh, that looks good. Over here, so all the glass is the same? Is factory, let's say?
Well, it's all new glass,
but the sizing?
With the chop and everything, and the rear window shortened. So we made aluminum templates and everything was made. Ralston Glass in Omaha took care of all that for us. And
boy, when we look at this side of the car where it's relatively closed up, first off, it sits like a hot rod. I mean, it just sits fantastic. And I noticed you shaved all the tires, buffed them down. Do you remember what tire sizes you have?
It's a 3150 or 31 by 1250 Hoosier. 16
in the back.
16's in the back, 15's in the front. But we wanted to really, I've heard a lot of people say it, you know, like tire sizes are everything on these cars, and I like a big sidewall on these cars. It's a hot rod. It's got to have a sidewall on it, and the stance and the proportions of everything's got to work together. So we studied this thing like crazy just to get the right. I mean, honestly, the rear 3/4 is like my favorite shot of it, but like even sitting right here, just the almost Vicky kind of body style to it.
But the car looks longer. It looks, you know, but because you got it low and because it's been cut down, that helps that long look, that long fast look. I think it's good looking. Now you mentioned Dakota Digital on the instruments. Does it have AC?
Yes, vintage air.
Has vintage air AC?
It's rear mounted. All the plumbing was built into the floor, and it comes up into the cowl and shoots out the front. So machined all the little door handles. Those are all machined out of stainless.
Have you had a chance to drive it at all?
We drove it. Well, we drove this car in bare metal.
Oh, okay.
And we shook it down in bare metal about 2 years ago, and put quite a few miles on it, and Bill did a few burnouts in it, and got all excited, and then. We finished it up Monday morning at 4:30 in the morning and put her in the trailer, and Rick over here drove almost straight through, and what was it, Monday night about 1:30, I'm like, dude, you need to pull over. So we found a lovely truck stop and took a small nap. But
tell me about the running boards and the covering. What did you do there?
We always felt that it needed a rubber on the running board, just with the look of the car. So we machined stainless strips. TJ's S and Atomic machine. My guys modeled up the trim, and then TJ machined the stainless strips, and we welded them together. Then we found a oddball diamond-shaped rubber pattern that we used, and
it looks good.
And made it all fit. Really so, with the machined stainless, it actually steps under it, so it covers the edge of it.
Let's go back over here. The A-pillar. I'm looking at the Stalker. Now, obviously, we got rid of the wing windows.
Sure.
And the A-pillar, it looks like beside the chop, is it pretty much, or did you lay it back?
It's been laid back just a little bit. When we brought the top down, as you chop most of these cars, you got to kind of work the A-pillars and all that stuff. So Yeah, I love just the little body lines of the 33s and the cowl and the A-pillar stuff. It's a lot of character. But yeah, she runs like a top.
Well, I want to thank Andy for taking us for a hot lap around his hot rod here. He's got an amazing car. It's in the Slonaker competition. And well, all I can say is you're standing tall with everyone. You're looking good. So Andy, thank you very much.
I appreciate it, Brian.
You're very welcome.